yards rushing on the night for Mealy. Eagles defensive line, Frank Tempesta, is in for one of the 2 touchdowns. Eagles 226 yards rushing. Holland's Brett Weimer, great throw to Eric Angelo. The Tigers 356 yards of total offense. So this was a great battle. Corner blitz, Weimer in. Andrew LaPeros picks it up, goes the distance for a JFK touchdown. A JFK win, however, Coach Tony Napolet feels there's still room for improvement.
Eagles, Frank Tempesta comes up with the interception, goes the other way 44 yards. Extra point again was good. JFK up 14.
He starts going around the corner. You got Frank Tempesta, strong running back, picking up 53 tough yards, including 1 touchdown for the Eagles.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second Hometown Heroes podcast with your host, Thomas Fallon. I would like to personally thank you for watching my first ever Hometown Heroes video. Thank you so much for your support and feedback. I really appreciate it. Today we have a special guest, Officer Frankie Tempesta. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If you would like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
My name is Frankie Tempesta from Warren, Ohio. Graduated from Warren JFK in '98. Went to Walsh University. Shortly thereafter, started policing in the city of Warren. Been employed from January 2003 in the city of Warren.
Thank you. So the first question I have for you, Officer Tempesta, is, you talk about the K, and for those that don't know, when we say the K, we mean Kennedy. What does that really mean to you?
The K is special. Being from Kennedy, being a captain on the '98 team, sharing in that brotherhood, the legacy, the tradition, the culture that was set forth by Coach Napolet. I had some really good coaches, Coach Limo, Coach Turk, Coach Knapp, just everybody involved in the Kennedy football program, from Coach Radich, 7th and 8th grade, Coach Mark Nicholas, Tiger, just growing up being an Eagle from a younger age, watching the legends, the legacy players, from Kennedy, of Tommy Palucci, Matt Richardson, Andre Jethro, growing up idolizing those guys. So the K means family to me, and blue pride is what was instilled in me, when I was young.
Would you say that that's the reason, you come back today?
I came back, one, it's my alma mater. I wasn't happy with the direction of the program. When I did come back, I just remember Kennedy, being, very physical football, and that was our mainstay. We were going to ground and pound. We were going to out physical you. We wanted to make you quit. And that was our mentality. That was just our toughness that was instilled in us. So that was kind of the direction. I thought we were losing that. So I wanted to come back, and I wanted to come back, obviously, for my nephews, for Gregory, and then now you and Patrick.
So the next question I have for you is, do you think that playing sports all your life, or even in college, have helped your life, especially in your field of work?
Definitely. Sports teaches you a lot of life lessons, obviously. Discipline, work ethic, team concepts, just being mental toughness, just physicality that you have to have, kind of that mindset. And obviously that when you play sports, there's a brotherhood that's there, and the love of the game, the love of your brothers. So, that's a huge thing. Going to Walsh University, I played football and baseball, played baseball for 2 years, played football for 4 years. Actually left after my senior football season. But still, some of the coaches that I had at Walsh University, Jim Dennison, our head coach, he was real big into sayings and mottos, and a lot of the stuff I still have on my phone. Coach Fred Thomas was my D coordinator. Great guy from Trumbull County, from the Valley. Great man. Dan Gravo, he was my position coach. Now he's now the the president of St. Thomas Aquinas and Kansas Central Catholic. Big Daddy, Coach Durando, was our D-line coach also. You just everywhere you go, everybody you meet, you get bits and pieces of their personality and different views, and a lot of, coaching, a lot of guys have a lot of sayings, so it resonates through life. So you take those with you as you grow and your experiences from that. So, definitely Walsh University, definitely all the coaches that have involved in my life have made an impact and, pretty much made me, who I am today.
Right. You think those mottos, you took some of those advice and, you made your own, you think you would say, or, they influenced you?
I might have shaped them into my personality, but a lot of the main stuff is you're not reinventing the wheel, per se. So, like Coach Dennison, what the mind of a man can achieve and believe, conceive and believe the mind of a man can achieve. So, that's one saying that I use, and especially for you guys, you've heard me say that before. I have a bunch of stuff on my cell phone from the Walsh days. Just things that we would do are, attitudes, discipline, factors in Walsh football, win with positive mental attitude, PMA, consistency. So one of those was consistency is the truest measure of performance. Almost anyone can have a great day or even a good year, but true success is the ability to perform day in and day out, year after year, under all kinds of conditions. Inconsistency will win some of the time. Consistency will win most of the time. Mental toughness is the key to consistency. Consistency requires concentration, determination, and repetition. So there are all these different sayings, and win with PMA. Coach Dennison was huge in positive mental attitude. Control what you can control. Be positive. Yeah, you're the one in your life, whether it's good or bad, positive or negative. You can control how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you respond. So, the win with PMA is in 4 years at Walsh, you will use and hear the letters PMA many times. Win with positive mental attitude is our slogan. It's not a gimmick and it's not original. It will determine how you will deal with problems. PMA helps us expect problems, put them in perspective, and then attack them. PMA says we can. It permits us to set and go after goals that others feel are unachievable. It permits us to be mentally tough and fight our way through the jungle. PMA is based on self-confidence. You must believe in yourself and your abilities. PMA says that you must work hard and never quit. A person with PMA gets recharged and enthusiastic. He has an inner strength. PMA means we always expect the best and work to the end. We see good things happening, and we then work to make them happen. PMA means we always give our best and look back with no regrets. Loyalty and respect for each other is a big part of PMA. A champion is the one who gets up when he can. The Walsh football team win with PMA. So, a lot of the things that I use, that I speak to you guys in, are things that have been shared from college coaches, from high school coaches. So.
Right. So the next question I have is, what would you say is the best part about working at Warren G. Harding?
The best part about working at Warren G. Harding. Well, I've been an SRO for a while now. I was in the old high school at Warren G. Harding. I've worked for some unbelievable people, unbelievable superintendents, principals, head principals, assistant principals. Going back to Bill Mullane at the old school, to Jepson, Mitlow, Fowler, Coach Thomas there, all principals. I worked under Dr. Helwig, Larry Richardson, Ruth Zidnick, now Dante Capers and Steve Shiro. Just the relationships, you build with people, the contacts that you make. Obviously, I like dealing with athletes. So, there's a lot of athletes at Warren G. Harding. When we owned my gym at No Mercy with Pat Marsco and I, we had a lot of Warren G. Harding kids, and just special to get to know them, build relationships with them. So probably the relationships at Harding are the most that I cherish. Obviously their coaches have been great. Coach McDaniels was leaving, but, Michael Coco got to play under him. So we got to, meet and be around Coach McDaniels. But, from Coach Chet Allen, Coach Kurt Kuntz, those Coach Charles Penny, who's the track coach and was a football coach back then. Matty Richardson was a coach there. So just those guys, getting to know those guys, being around those guys, that's the best part of being at Harding.
Right. So the next question I have for you is, owning a gas station, a CBD store, working out with us at 5 a.m, working at a police officer at Harding, and, having a family, how stressful is that?
I mean, like I tell you guys, I believe, and stress is man-made. We as a group, as a JFK whole, when Coach Bayek, decided that it was best for him to go to Struthers with his son, with John, and, what he's provided us at Warren JFK and what we've been able to do in a short period of time. Obviously, that was stressful for you, for our kids, for the coaches, for everybody involved, that love JFK, that love, the K, that love Warren JFK football. So, I mean, if we can control our mind and our mental state and be positive, like Coach Dennison taught me and everybody that went to Walsh. I mean, obviously, I feel that, stress is man-made. The good thing is I'm married and I have a wonderful wife, and, she takes care of the house. She's a great mother. She takes care of my children. So that affords me the opportunity to do other things in business, when I'm not, always home, or when I'm being pulled here and there. I told you guys, there's a difference between wanting to do something and needing to do something. I don't need to be at Warren JFK. I don't need to go to the weight room at 5 a.m. This is stuff I want to do. I want to do for our kids, for you guys, for the people involved at Warren JFK, the people that love Kennedy. This is something that I choose to do, so it's not stressful for me. I like being around our athletes and try to be a positive role model for them and you guys. And so it can get stressful if you allow it to, but if you don't allow it to, I don't see it as stress. So I got good people at home, and so it's less stressful then.
Right. So, switching gears, I guess, a little bit is, being a police officer, what would you say is something hard that you face, or, stuff like that? What's hard about being a police officer?
What's hard? I think the hardest thing for me, being, now 17 years in at Warren City, I think it just desensitizes your emotions. Definitely, I've never really been one to show my emotions. I've never really been one to communicate about emotions or things of that nature. I just think some of the stuff that we see, some of the stuff that we deal with, definitely changes you. I think it's a coping mechanism of what we do see. So you kind of just hit that off button on our emotions. It's funny because I'm very emotional about, Gia and Francesca, or, when I'm coaching, or, our kids, our players. I get emotional about football. I'm passionate about, Florida State, the Steelers, Warren JFK. It's easy for me to express my emotions through sports. Sports has had such a major impact on my life, and has pretty much molded me to who I am today. So my emotions in everyday life don't normally come out, but they come out when I'm coaching or when I'm doing something, through sports. It's something that I can't hold back. Normally I try to be reserved. I try not to show emotion. But at those times it just comes out. When we won the state championship, I just was crying like a baby. I mean, it just came, and I was like, let's roll with it. But it just, that's what it meant that much to me. But being a cop, I think you just use it as a defensive mechanism. You just shut everything down, because I still remember a lot of the calls that I've been on, a lot of the calls that I've had problems with, in dealing with, children that have passed, people that have committed suicide, the boy that drowned that I tried to save, gunshot victims, who I know, they're saying, Tempesta, don't let me die. I mean, so it takes a toll on you emotionally and mentally. And it's just like if you have a car in the garage and you don't drive it, you don't move it, you don't turn it on, you don't turn on the engine. In a month you might go out and it might start, but 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, the battery's going to die, things are going to go wrong, the tires will go flat. So you just keep hitting that off button on your emotions, and then sometimes it's hard, for us to turn back on emotion. So that's probably the hardest thing. It definitely changes you as a person, but you get through it. Hopefully people in law enforcement, soldiers, things of that nature, that hopefully they have a good support system that they can, clergy, other brothers and sisters in law enforcement, your family, your parents, your friends that you're close with, they guide you through.
Right. Well, I know you just talked about it, but being a police officer, you see the good, the bad, and even the worst than people think. With poverty, terrible living conditions, abuse, etc. Do you think that this has made you more appreciative of life and gave you a sense of blessing, or what would you take away from that experience too?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we're very fortunate. Obviously, on the some of the homes we go into, and the family structures and things of that nature. We're blessed with a mother and a father. Decent role models in the home, food on the table, our necessities are met. We come from a loving family. A lot of those kids and a lot of the people we deal with that they don't have that. They don't have that upbringing. So we're very fortunate. We got to go to Warren JFK and get a great education, play sports, and we got to do the things that were afforded to us by our parents, and our situations are in our family. So just very fortunate and thankful.
Okay. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to become a police officer?
What advice? I got into policing, just to, my reasoning was, to protect those that can't protect themselves. The elderly, the young, the people that are feeble-minded, the people that physically can't, defend themselves. It's a profession that if your heart's not into it and you're not mentally strong, it's gonna chew you up and spit you out. It definitely changes a person. So it's definitely something that they have to have a strong mindset, and a mentality. It's just, soldiers, police officers, people like that are wired differently. I think a lot of, you have to be that alpha male, type to get through some of these situations. It's not normal to run towards a gunfight. When most people are fleeing that, we're running to it. So it's, you got to be wired a little different. But I think sports has made a huge impact on that, the way I was raised, the way I was brought up. So it's just, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I know I have to ask this question to our last guest, but has there been any fear that you may bring the virus home to your family the coronavirus to your family, especially since you work at a school and are now on the road?
No, I don't. I don't. I choose not to live in fear. Um, I teach my kids and my girls that, there's this victim mentality, in society today. If you don't allow yourself to be a victim, then you're not going to be a victim. If you don't allow yourself to be bullied, you're not going to be bullied. Mentally, you prepare yourself. We have a dangerous job. We go out, we serve the public. But at the end of the day, it's fate. At the end of the day, when we were born, I believe we have an end date. I'm not going to live my life in fear, and I don't want my kids to live a life in fear. So I choose not to. I don't worry. I worry about things that I can control. That's an uncontrollable. So it's not even worth. That's a stress that you don't need.
Right. That's a good perspective.
If it should come down the road, then that's what it was meant to be, and we'll tackle that at that time. But until then, I'm not going to live in fear.
Yeah. So do you think that the police department has put you in a good place to be safe, in regular times and even in times against the virus?
Yeah, they provide us with what they can. So yes, we have N95 masks. They give us gloves. We have the technology of doing our police jobs, our duties. You try to be as safe as you can. But at the end of the day, it's up to that officer. It's up to his tactics, the training that he has, or the training that he does on his own. But the police department has done their job in protecting us. They've, since the COVID-19, they've changed some policy and procedures on, what kind of calls we go to. If they're just report calls, we can take them over the phone. So some of that stuff we try to limit, person-to-person contact. But obviously, in law enforcement, when we're going to domestics and assaults and felonious assaults and shootings, and you're dealing with the public, and then when you have to use the use of force, you're going hands-on with somebody. So obviously there's going to be that contact. But that's our job. So the police department does the best they can, and then it's up to God, really.
Yeah. Sure. So relationship wise, what type of relationships or friendships do you build at work? I know you talked about them briefly.
At work, it's, I think relationships are built over time, obviously. So relationships are built over trust and loyalty. Relationships, you got to have good communication. And at the end of the day, when you're calling for backup, work relationships, you want to know that they're coming, and that they're going to help you out of that situation you're in. So work relationships, yeah, it's like, playing on a football team. It's a brotherhood. It doesn't matter what your opponent is in front of you. It matters, for me, the people that are behind me, that I'm protecting. So, the work, it's, it's built over time, and it's built, you see what they do at work and how they hold themselves, and they can do their jobs. And so in times of need, if I'm calling for backup, they're coming, and they know I'm coming. So that trust factor.
Yeah. Like you said, having your back, you think that comes with building a good relationship and trust, especially when someone calls for backup.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's just like playing on a basketball team, playing on a football team, being around people, their mannerisms. You can read faces even without them saying it, reading the posture of their body, just the way they're acting. Something's not right if, my partner who, I've worked with. I can read him. I know what's going through his mind without him even saying it. If he, he can just give me a look, saying that this could go sideways. Now we're planning. So it's just like seeing a football field, having good communication, being together, knowing, I don't have to tell you, I know where you're going to be and I trust you're going to be there, so it's just
Right.
that relationship through time, through trust, and just being around each other.
Yeah. And, you said that's something that takes time, to learn that communication and to learn, to build that trust, with your partner, whoever it is.
Right. So in the city of Warren, we don't have double units. So obviously we roll with just single occupant cruisers. And it's been a shift now at the PD though. Before it was, top heavy with older guys, seasoned guys. And now, me going back to the road because as an SRO, Harding's, canceled for the year. It's just, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of younger guys, a couple of younger girls. Never worked with them, don't know how they respond, don't know how they act, don't know how they command a scene, just things of that nature where I know, some of the older guys, I've been on scenes, I know how they're going to react. So it's just, you're playing on the fly. It's, you're scrambling, you're a quarterback, you're out of the pocket, you're scrambling, you're trying to make a play. So you're just ad-libbing and seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so, being on the road and now in years past, the crime rate is 45 per 1,000 residents, in which Warren has one of the highest crime rates in America compared to communities of all sizes. Do you ever think about the possibility that, you may not come home one night? And I know you said you talked about fear a little bit, but, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you think about it, but I think about it, it would be, something more for my family. I mean, I would, if something should happen, don't mourn me, mourn the kids, my wife. I mean, I don't, when I leave the house, I don't think I'm not coming home. I mean, that's not my mentality. It doesn't enter my mentality. Every night I'm coming home, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive, whatever situation that's in. And if that's my fate, that's my fate. But I'm not going to dwell on any of that. Being a police officer, anything, being a soldier, obviously we knew what we signed up for. So, I mean, if we die, in the line of duty, then unfortunately that was our fate. But I don't think that way. And it's something that doesn't cross my mind. I mean, there's been incidents and times after the fact when your adrenaline comes down on calls and things like that, you process stuff. You're going through all of that. You're like, wow, this could have went sideways. This was bad. This was good. And just through those experiences, you learn. But yeah, that's every night I'm coming home. I'm going to do whatever I can to come home.
Do you think that some officers, people who lurk in the line of duty try not to think about that? Or, I know you talked about that a little bit, but.
I think it's like the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Obviously, it's a dangerous job. But like, again, I said, we're trained to do this, and if that's not your mindset, then it's not the right profession for you. But I mean, I see it in my point of view is like I said, when you're born, we have an end date, and whatever fate that is, that's my fate. I mean, I can't rewrite that. So, for me, it is what it is. I'm going to continue to do my job and not allow those thoughts to come into it. But I think those thoughts are more of your family, your friends, your loved ones, your parents, your wife, your kids. They see that. Maybe they would think about that, but when you're doing it, I don't allow that to enter my thought process.
Right. I know you talked about how, your family or the community would feel it, and I think we all really felt that when we heard the news about Officer Justin Leo. Like, what were your thoughts when that happened?
I mean, disgusted, mad, angry. It's in law enforcement. It touches everybody in law enforcement. Obviously, you have a local kid in Girard, that died in the line of duty, doing his job, protecting and serving, answering a call. Obviously at the time we didn't get into the particulars of what happened. Just like Hartselle and Youngstown, when I was working there, I wanted to go to Youngstown. We want to go to these places. If you, it doesn't matter what badge you wear, what color your uniform is. It doesn't matter. We're all law enforcement, and we all got each other's backs. Whether you state highway patrol, whether you're a Fed agency, whether you're Niles, Howland, no matter what. I mean, we're willing to, we're coming for our brothers and sisters, just because we're all in law enforcement. So it definitely hurts. It definitely it tugs at your heartstrings, and it's a shame. But he paid the ultimate sacrifice, for doing the job, and all we can do now is just uphold his memory, support that community in Girard, and it's a tough situation when people die in the line of duty. I mean, we've been lucky in the city of Warren. We haven't had a fatality in a long time. I know, there's guys that are, Lieutenant Scochillis, he got stabbed back in the day. Sergeant Riggins got shot on a raid. We've been very fortunate, and, we kind of all talk and say, that with the things the way they are with society, realistically, I'm surprised, we haven't had more officers hurt in the city of Warren. I'm surprised, we haven't had officers killed in the city of Warren just because of what's going on in society. So thank God for that, for our training, for all that. It's just a tough situation when an officer dies in the line of duty. I mean, we all feel it because, it brings you back to that human element that, this job is serious, and you could die doing this job, but it's not going to change the way we do it. But just support the JAR community when he passed, and just uphold his legacy. Continue to, I mean, they call it the thin blue line. We're not going to deviate from it. We're not going to regress from it. We're going to stand our ground. And we all have each other's backs, and it just hurts the police community when there is a death on duty. But all you can do, I mean, the memories of him, I didn't know him personally. Everybody spoke well of him. Seemed to be a really, really liked guy, good police officer. So they live through us. So.
Yeah. Well, you carry on that legacy for him, and you said, like, it doesn't matter where you're from, what uniform you wear, you all felt that, and you all try to, uphold his duty and his honor. So.
Right. Correct.
That's good.
That's pretty much all we can do.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Get you off here. I just want to say thank you to Officer Frankie Tempesta, my uncle, my godfather. Thank you for being a hero. And it's tough because, like you said, it's the family aspect too. You're leaving and your family. It'd be really tough. And I just want to say my heart and prayers go out to that family still. And I know it was in 2017, but I just want to, pray and for safety of all the police officers Uh, so I have a commemorative video in honor of Officer Justin Leo. And the reason I'm wearing a blue shirt is for all those who serve in the line of duty. And there's a blue tint in the lights today. So thank you for your service, Officer Leo. And may you rest in peace.
Heroes never die. May he live in our hearts as his honor lives in the men and women in blue.